Welcome to another edition of the RDFNL Footy Show. My name's Yeendy. Excited to be with you as always. I'm here with Tara Murray from the Star Weekly. Thanks again for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
You seem to be gaining a bit of a profile here. You're enjoying your time behind the small screen.
I am. I seem to talk about football all the time, so I may as well film it as well.
Exactly. It's like a camera's not here. As we looked at the first game that you were at on the weekend, and Rupertswood versus Sunbury Kangaroos, and surprisingly, I think it was a bit more of a free-flowing game of footy at Rupo.
It was. Normally at Rupertswood it is a pretty low-scoring ground, and I know both those sides, Rupertswood and Sunbury, I think every time they've played games at Rupertswood, they have been really close, low-scoring games, but there was quite a few goals kicked early, and it was the game I thought going into the round would be game of the round, and it proved to be in the end. Both teams had their chances. Both teams led in every single quarter. In the end, it looked like Sunbury Kangaroos were going to get over the line. They kicked the first couple of the last quarter, hit the front. Then Rupertswood hit back, and they ended up getting over the line. And had a few Rupertswood people remind me that I did tip the Kangaroos. So they seem to rub that in every time I tip against Rupertswood, and Rupertswood get up. But it was a really good win for the Sharks. Well, and I think they really needed it.
Should they take that as an omen then? Tip against them every week, they win?
Saying that, I've tipped most wins they got. I didn't tip them against Macedon and they lost. And as I quite pointed out, I tipped them against Romsey and they lost. So they were a bit quiet after that. But no, a good win for the Sharks. And that's they needed that. I think they've been disappointing against Riddle. They got the win, but they were disappointing. They lost to Romsey. So they really needed that against a side that is going to be in the mix.
Sean Hetherington on fire again. He was best on ground. He
was, and he kicked 5 goals. So he was their option up forward. A lot of their goals were crumbing goals. There wasn't a lot of high-fly marks, which you're not going to get with Rupertswood's forward line because it is a pretty small forward line. But he was really good, and you had a lot of the more senior experienced guys for Rupertswood. Brent Swallow was really good in the middle. Late, Brett Chalmers took a couple of marks strong late in the final quarter. So
and as he leads by example as well, Chambo, which is great. Good when the game gets really close. He's the guy that does put his hand up more often than not.
It is. So, yeah, it was a good game. And I think even though Sunbury lost, there was still a lot of positives out of that. They're starting to get that real flow in their forward line. Yes, Ryan Pretty did kick 5 goals, but then Farmer and Lobb both look dangerous as well. Yeah,
well, I think they kicked 15 goals and they're able to share that around, and Rupo shared it around as well as they tend to do. Romsey versus Macedon, many would have expected this one to be a bit closer because of Romsey's good form. They've knocked over Diggers and Rupo in recent weeks, but Macedon, they got out early and didn't let go.
It was, they kicked Macedon again won another first quarter. They kept Romsey goalless, so it wasn't a massive first quarter, only 23-2.
Yep.
But when you keep your opponent goalless in the first quarter, that is a really good start. And you look at it, it was really the first and the second quarter that Macedon set the game up. They only won the second half 7-5. So Romsey fought back. Romsey kept it from blowing out, which is some positives there. But in the end, Macedon's class was too good.
Yeah, we come to expect from them. Jack O'Sullivan, he was outstanding in the midfield for Romsey. And from reports coming out of that game as well, Dan Markworth will have a bit of an extended run on the sidelines with an injury as well. So we'll be watching the progress of that one. Riddle versus Rockbank. We did expect this one was probably going to be a little bit close, and I think there was only about 49 points in it at the end of the day, and the Bombers securing back-to-back wins for the first time in season 2017.
It was sort of how I sort of expected, and I spoke with Lee Spall from Rockbank on the weekend, and he said basically for the first 2.5 to 3 quarters they were in the game. It was only sort of really that last quarter that it blew out. So Rockbank were competitive. They did miss quite a few easy goals, which could have put them a lot closer.
Well, 7-14, I think.
I think both sides were inaccurate, and I know, speaking with Lee, they missed 4 or 5 pretty easy ones they should have got. But for Rockbank now, the thing is to play 4 full quarters. They're starting to play 2 3/4. They did it against Riddle, Melson Centrals, Wallen. Now they need to play for the full 4 quarters.
We're watching them with great interest as the season goes on. I think the Bombers, they had 5 or 6 players kick 2 goals each, which was great. Another big game which I think caught everyone by surprise, and having watched the winning team, though, the Hawks, the previous week against Riddle, where they got 11 goals, and to come out and kick 33 against Broadford, which I think might be the highest score kicked against them this year. Phenomenal, including 12 or 13 goals in the third term alone.
I think it was a statement from the Hawks. I don't think they would have been happy with the start to the season. They've had 1 win back in round 1 against Lancefield, who we know are going to be one of the bottom sides. So wouldn't have been happy with that start to the season. And that was a statement to come out. You had Cam Arnold kick 8. From all reports that Daniel Toman had 53 possessions and kicked 4 goals. He was one of the ones I was excited about in the pre-season as one of the recruits of the year, and he showed exactly what he can do on the weekend.
Well, he did get best on ground in the Interleague Grand Final, taking out the Carmen medal against West Gippsland. Good to see Maxi Ambler go forward, kick 6 goals. Liam Barton as well, so a couple of Woodend juniors coming through. And Diggers Rest and Lancefield, this one was a bit of a blowout later on in the contest. I think it was 135 points.
I think no surprise there. I think it was sort of what we expected, that the Boroughs with their class would quite easily account for the Tigers.
Yeah, and they spread the goal kickers around as well. I think Matty Kroll kicked 4 goals. He was very impressive. And I think it's the last game we've got Melton Centrals versus Wallen, and close up till 3/4 time. Pies had their last quarter. I think they kicked about 7 goals and ran away with the contest.
It was, and that's what you said. Melton Centrals have been disappointing in the last few weeks. They started really well, but against some of those stronger sides, they have struggled, and they'll probably be a little bit disappointed with some of the weekend. They were 36-3 down at quarter time, got back into the game, and it was only about 20 points at 3/4 time. But Wallen is doing what they've done all season. They're just doing enough to get across the line when they need to. They kicked enough goals in that last quarter to get a quite comfortable win.
Yeah, certainly they seem to be flowing along nicely as they sit 5-2 heading into the break. Players do have the break this week, which is great, but there's no break for us because later on in the week and early next week we're going to a bit of a special. We're going to do a mid-season review, so we're going to stick around for that one. Coming up later in the week, we're going to dissect 6 clubs, and then earlier on next week we're going to dissect another 6 clubs, and we're going to go in depth about how they've been travelling this season, expectations heading forward. So Tara, we're looking forward to your expert analysis, and thanks for your time again in this edition of the RDFNL Footy Show. We look forward to catching up with you later on in the week.
Thanks for having me.